This new day of the YNW Melly trial was easily the most important one of all. Here's what you need to know. Once the courtroom opened and the jury came in, an FBI agent would take the stand. This FBI agent specializes in cell phone data research. As the report states, YNW Melly's lawyer is questioning the FBI agent that did an analysis on YNW Melly's phone at the time of the crime.
Based on the information, you can't really tell the court precisely which locations these phones are following in, can you?
No, and one of the limitations of cellular analysis is that you can only say a general area where the device would be at a given time.
All right. So even with the general analysis, all of the stuff that we've gone through for about 4 or 5 hours, at the end of the day, you can never give an exact location.
True.
And could you tell if somebody was walking around a car with the phone? Would you be able to tell that?
No.
So it'd be your testimony that this phone, 9807, could be from here to here, correct?
Yes.
And what was the distance?
While he did share important information, it wasn't until the next topic of conversation where things got interesting, as a DNA specialist then took the stand. His job was going over DNA research on items that were found at the scene of the crime, including items that were found inside of the Jeep that the crime happened in. Now, this may be YNW Melly's biggest win so far. As the report states, DNA analyst confirms YNW Melly's DNA was not found on multiple items that were recovered at the crime scene.
So going to item number 22, the swab from the Gucci sandals. We're able to compare the profile from Mr. Devins as opposed to the profile developed from those sandals.
I did, and he was excluded.
The stain on the front of the t-shirt, item number 23. We're able to compare Mr. Devins' profile to that.
I did a comparison, and he was again excluded.
What about item number 24, the cutting of the stain of the rear of the t-shirt?
After comparisons were done, he was excluded.
Okay, then on item number 25, the swab of stain from the Air Jordans.
Again, an exclusion.
Going on to item number 26, the swab from the yellow jacket.
An exclusion as well.
And in terms of the item number 27 and 28, the swabs of the Gatorade bottles. What were the results on that?
Those were both exclusions.
However, YNW Melly's DNA was found on the car handle, which is pretty obvious as we all watched him in court getting into the vehicle to begin with.
Excuse me, you're able to see? Yes? All right.
However, YNW Melly's lawyers are currently trying to prove that he was dropped off and picked up by Fredo Bang before or after the crime happened. They do not have to specify which one. Prosecutors already told the jury that YNW Melly was picked up by Fredo Bang after the crime was committed.
And Chris Thomas are. So what you're also going to find out is while Mr. Devins is out there on the side of the road, 4 in the morning, 4:42 specifically, he sends a drop pin, digital homing beacon, to his current location, to one of his friends, Frederick Givens. Frederick Givens is also involved in the music industry, and he asked to be picked up. Frederick Givens, then about 11 minutes later, is sent another drop pin, where Mr. Devins has moved a couple of meters. What you're going to find out as well, though, is these digital leashes, they have more than just phone calls,
However, with his DNA not showing up on items at the crime scene is an unbelievable win. YNW Melly and his lawyers know this because how they reacted in the courtroom during their first recess of the day was something that everyone needs to see.
Thank you. Let the record reflect the jury step down. Counsel remain. Call with the defendant and our witness. Yes, counsel, I'm sorry. I just figured it was easier if we just let the jury go.
Understood.
Makes sense. Your Honor, may we have this discussion just in case there needs to be some supplementation testimony outside the presence of the
Sure.
As shortly after, we would then get another new report from Bryson Paul, a reporter at the courtroom who states, YNW Melly appears to be becoming more and more confident about his case, the more and more the defense stops the prosecution's plans, speaking with the gallery a whole lot more. And he knows the room now. He appears to know how to maneuver. So YNW Melly is getting more and more confident by the hour, which he should. The judge announced today that he's going to be excluding evidence due to the prosecutors violating the discovery rules, as explained by the famous rap lawyer himself.
YNW Melly trial, more missteps from the prosecution. This time, the judge issuing a sanction. The sanction is the prosecution is not going to be allowed to use certain evidence. The reason? The prosecution failed to turn the evidence over in a timely manner. The defense had accused them of trying to plug up holes. You're going to see the footage from the judge where the judge says, look, this is not the right way to do it. Ultimately, I don't know if this is a huge part of their case, this evidence that's being excluded, but it speaks to the issue that the defense attorney was talking about, is this is a case. If you've got your evidence, go ahead and present it. The way the evidence is coming out, there's just too many missteps, too many technical mishaps.
This would end up surprising the entire courtroom. The prosecutors are running out of evidence to use. This is now going to make the trial even last longer than most expected, as even the jurors asked today the judge, how long is this trial going to take? This was his response, explained by Mo.
So the answer to this question is going to you, because initially I thought the answer to this question was trial will last maybe 2 to 3 weeks, so sometime at the end of next week it's over, we get a verdict next week or maybe the week after. In fact, the judge said in open court this morning, a juror had asked the judge, hey, how long is this trial going to take? Can you give us some forecast so we can plan? And the judge said this, spoke to lawyers on both sides. They expect trial will conclude at some point by the end of July, meaning trial is likely to last all of this month, June. They're going to take a day or two off for July 4th. Then trial is going to last through all of July. You're talking about multiple weeks, multiple months. It has to be said.
The hope for YNW Melly's defense team, including jury, was that this case was going to go to a mistrial. However, the update of the motion for a mistrial in the YNW Melly case has been denied was released. Now, many believe that the report of alleged video of YNW Melly cooperating with cops in the interrogation room surfaces. Alongside this footage ended up affecting the mistrial.
Like I told you, a lot of the stuff we don't need because we have all this evidence already. Now's your time.
You really need to think about what you're going to do. Because now is the time to try to be honest and try to make things right. Okay? If you shot in self-defense or something, you need to let us know.
I did.
What happened?
Somebody at the Punch Tomato pulled out.
Who?
One of the kids.
Somebody you go to school with?
Yeah.
Same grade?
Yeah.
What's he go by?
I think he goes to the alternative.
Alright, what's his street name?
I know his last name, Gillespie.
Now, that footage was from a court case that YNW Melly was involved in all the way back in 2015. Now, yes, I know it's a pretty odd coincidence. A random 8-year-old footage comes out the moment YNW Melly could get a mistrial. However, that footage and that court case has absolutely zero effect on this current one. It was just a weird coincidence. However, the famous rap lawyer would mention that YNW Melly not getting the mistrial isn't all that bad.
Right, the judge denied the mistrial. The judge did not go deep into his reasons for why, but bottom line, request for a mistrial denied by the judge in the Melly trial. From here, I think this is a good thing. Why? I thought the trial was going well for Melly, and so he didn't really want a mistrial. That being said, this is a penalty case. And so if there's grounds to move for a mistrial, if somebody does something and you have the opportunity to move for a mistrial, you kind of have to do it. Now, the fact that the judge denied it means the trial will continue, which I think is going good for Melly, and there will be the possibility of an appeal based on the fact that the judge didn't grant the mistrial. It's not a sure thing that that'll happen, but that is now also in play.
As very recently, we would then see a new current polling system for voting on YNW Melly's case, whether or not he's guilty or not. Now, 19% of voters voted that he was guilty, 74% voted not guilty, and 6% on other. Of course, this could be heavily skewed due to fans, but YNW Melly has had major wins in his late trial days, as it all started on the first day of the YNW Melly trial, where it was his lawyer's objective to present to the jury the possibility of this crime being done by YNW Bortlen, as we would see reports of YNW Bortlen had powder residue on his hands and a change of clothing when he dropped off Sakchaser and Juvy to the hospital. YNW Bortlen and Melly were the only two men in the car with them, including this video of Melly's lawyer breaking it down.
Demon's lies, those were his lies. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. You don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with two bodies, a car riddled with bullets. And when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, powder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket, not Cortland Henry. There were 3 phones.
As he also revealed that YNW Bortlen lied to the feds when they were asking him what happened to Sakchaser and Juvy. As Bortlen, he also brought a change of clothing to a recording studio at 4 in the morning. This would cause many red flags being brought up. Then the interview of YNW Bortlen lying to the feds at the hospital on the night it happened was then shared in the courtroom.
And I'm driving, ducking for my life, trying to make sure I don't get hit. And you telling me, you telling me about shit. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. I'm driving. I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. You know what I'm saying? What I'm gonna be worried about? You know what I'm saying?
I know it's not for you to worry about.
Shit crazy, bro.
But if you tell me it happened there's got to be some evidence there. There's going to be broken glass, just like there's broken glass over here when you guys open the doors and stuff like that. Okay, there's going to be broken glass over there when the windows got out. There's going to be casings from the people at your car. Okay, there's going to be evidence over there. Okay, right now there's nothing. I kind of think I know what happened because I got information.
As then shortly after, the famous rap lawyer would confirm that was Melly's attorney speaking on Bortlen at the start, as well as mentioning something everyone should probably hear.
And we have an absolute shell being dropped by the defense, a mic drop moment. The lead attorney on Melly's defense team telling the jury that Cortland Henry lied to police when he showed up at Memorial Hospital that morning. He lied about what happened. He lied about not having a phone on him. That Cortland Henry, this is according to Melly's attorney, that Cortland Henry showed up at that hospital with a change of clothes on, and that Cortland Henry showed up at that hospital with powder residue on his hands.
This left many to believe Melly is now trying to put this onto YNW Bortlen. However, later on in the trial, we would then hear more evidence of YNW Bortlen having more firearm residue on his hands, as we saw a report of forensic scientists that covered the passings in the Melly trial says co-defendant YNW Bortlen tested positive for firearm residue.
So the right hand of Cortland Henry contained 0 particles characteristic of shot residue and 2 component particles, and the left hand contained 1 particle characteristic of shot residue and 1 2-component particle.
Okay. And can you explain to us what that means?
Basically, overall, there was shot residue present on the hands.
Again, making many realize this trial is starting to be transitioned into a YNW Bortlen trial instead of Melly. However, YNW Juvy's father was not having it. He shared his opinions on YNW Melly and believes Melly is the guilty one. We would see a report of the father of YNW Juvy explained why he believes YNW Melly is responsible for this crime.
From the day one, I believe that Melly was responsible for my son on October 26th when I first heard the story, because his explanation when I finally talked to him in Cortland on a FaceTime, their response and how they was reacting, they showed no remorse. They didn't act like they was grieving, like they lost a best friend or nothing. They was, in my opinion, they was in the best spirits. They wasn't reacting to, they act like they didn't have to take a loss at all. That's how I took it. And then when I was talking to them, I still had in the back of my mind that something's not right.
As more and more evidence would show YNW Bortlen's involvement, day 4 of the YNW Melly trial, it would also be another massive win for Melly. The prosecutors brought a witness to the stand. They were hoping this witness would be their ticket to proving that YNW Melly is guilty. As reports would go on to state, YNW Melly's ex-girlfriend's mother is a prosecution witness, but it looks like she doesn't even want to be there testifying for the state.
I do remember that they kind of me and my daughter and take her to jail for accessory. I do remember that.
Yes. And in terms of the statements that you made about what happened, you don't have any recollection of that. Did you read this statement multiple times?
I looked at it and I just didn't recall it, and I don't remember.
And so you indicated you hoped you were truthful with law enforcement.
Yes, I did.
I have to ask you to be more definitive. Were you truthful?
I don't remember what I said to them back then, so if I was to tell you something now, I could be lying. I don't want to lie on the stand because you're going to take me to jail. So I'm saying what you want me to say.
I do not want you to say anything, I want you to tell the truth.
Okay, that's what I'm doing.
The prosecutors were hoping and expecting her to fully cooperate and shared what happened on the night of Sakchaser and Juvy's passing. As for some context, on the night of the passing, there's a phone record showing YNW Melly FaceTimed his girlfriend at the time. And that same mother that was on the stand, she also mentioned in a deposition years ago on what actually happened. As when YNW Melly explained to his ex-girlfriend on the night it happened, she was yelling in her room, causing her mom to run in. And then the mom overheard the FaceTime call. Years ago, she explained this in a deposition, though today she now no longer remembers a single thing. As if that wasn't a big enough win for YNW Melly, he would then react to the firearm expert that then took the stand after her. As in the report of YNW Melly's reaction when a firearm expert tells the judge he didn't bring the item because he has no idea what the item was used for this crime, was released, sharing Melly's reaction in the courtroom is something special.
Why not?
So the first thing is I didn't have a firearm, so I can't know which firearm I'm going to use in order to replicate any of my tests. So I can't make tests for this determination because I don't know what firearm was used.
Okay. Do you have a...
This is exactly what YNW Melly's music manager 100K Track told us to expect in this trial years ago during an interview with DJ Academics, where he stated that YNW Melly has lots of great defenses on his side.
He built a real great solid team away from just being innocent because he wouldn't do such a crime. He prepared himself and got a proper, defense. Their job is to handle themselves in trial, not on social media. You guys are taking it that way. If they say they got DNA in a car, I'm just gonna tell you Melly DNA was found in the car. You're gonna think, yeah, his DNA was found in the car the day of the he jumped in a car and his DNA was in the car, he did it. Okay, but you're not gonna put the fact that this was his car for 6-7 months on those documents and dockets and just automatically be like, yo, he's fried. You don't even know what the defense is. You don't even know what the rebuttal is. You don't even know why that situation occurred. You hear ballistics flying, you don't know what the defense is. You hear this, you hear that. You get what I'm saying?
I'm gonna be honest.